So I decided to indulge in a side quest, which is an article published on The Guardian, and it's titled "Gifs Are Cringe, How Giphy's Multi-million-dollar Business Fell Out of Fashion," and it was published back in September of 2022. So this article kind of argues against Giphy and how it's falling out of fashion, but I kind of want to argue these points and also question them a little bit. So the first argument made is that gifs are going out of fashion and that young teenagers think that they're cringe. At first sight, I'm almost insulted. There's a screenshot of a tweet here that says, "Someone last week told me gifs are for boomers, and I have never felt so self-conscious ever since." That's just insulting to me, that they're putting me in the same category as boomers, but okay. Moving on. Essentially, the main arguments that they're putting here is that gifs aren't as creative nowadays as they used to be in this boom of Tumblr. You might have remembered that I talked about the boom of gifs on Tumblr in my introduction and history about gifs, and people are basically complaining that they're not as good anymore. But I have to say that I really think this is a consequence of a new digital age. People are really using gifs more in a lighthearted and sarcastic manner, and also as little accessories on their Instagram stories or little things to send on WhatsApp, and no longer this crazy kind of pour your heart out way of expressing yourself. And also, we've also come to this age where there's just so many genres and so many things out there. And this kind of leads to the next point, where it's basically saying that Giphy is too overly saturated, and it's also created a decline in GIF culture because all these GIFs are basically ugly. Well, that's what they're saying. Which I have to agree, there is this oversaturation of GIFs, and they do almost start all looking the same. But again, Giphy is also a place where things are categorized and kind of divided. So I also I do agree that it's oversaturated, and basically the only GIFs that matter are the ones that are at the tops. It also compares it to a Google search, that you obviously the only things that matter are the first page of your Google search, the top of the first page, the rest doesn't matter. So I do have to agree with that. And the other kind of argument that they make is that gifs are running out of fashion simply because they are just not as accessible online and on websites and whatever. I think this is just, again, like, we are moving on in this digital age, and gifs are coming with us. Hence, they are now existing in the realm of Meta. What else? Because they bought everything. And there's also complaints on here saying that, you can't download a GIF on a smartphone, which I also have to say, is it super necessary to download a GIF on a smartphone? And also there's complaints about how if you download a GIF on a smartphone, then it downloads as a video, which I also, making it flatter or flattening it out, which I agree with, but it's also not that important because we are using them more casually and within platforms. So there were these weird arguments that I think are really just like missing the point of this new age of GIFs, or what I believe is the new age of GIFs. To add, I think in the context of Meta, although I'm not a big fan of them, I do think that this is what Giphy needed, essentially, because it would make GIFs more accessible to people, and it would spread GIFs further and wider, and also break this barrier of not being able to use GIFs on a smartphone or so on. But I am still intrigued by how kids find them cringe. I that's something interesting to me because it feels like their whole digital life is a GIF, like avatars that move. I don't know. This is maybe thinking out loud too much, but I wonder where this kind of, oh, this is a boomer thing comes from. Is it the fact that it's just old? Is it the fact that um yeah, because it feels like they should be popular because it's on all these social media sites and everything. But yeah, there is a question arising from here, which is also regarding copyright. So that is something I want to explore further.